They say there are only 9 story types out there. Man versus nature, overcoming the monster, rags to riches to name a few. One of the common stories you see is man versus self. In these stories, our protagonist is fighting their own nature. You may have heard of these referred to as redemption stories. Isekai is packed with these. Re:Zero, Mushoku Tensei, and even Faraway Paladin are all anime about people getting a second chance and coming out better because of it. In fact, we are inundated with stories of redemption. Everywhere you look, you see stories about bad people becoming good. These stories abound outside of the isekai genre, but it is not the only genre where the protagonist must become a better version of themselves. Iron Man, Up, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas are all examples of this story type. These are the stories that teach you how to be a good boy. Don't seek revenge. Be nice to your enemies. Turn the other cheek. But what about stories where the protagonist fails? What about where they're tired of fighting the good fight and become evil? Now, I'm not talking about revenge tales. Manga like The Executed Sage is reincarnated as a lich and starts an all-out war, or The Strongest Brave Who Craves for Revenge Extinguished with the Power of Darkness, or even last summer's anime, Failure Frame, I Became the Strongest and Annihilated Everything with Low-Level Spells, all brush over the fall to the dark side. Hell, even Star Wars did a poor job of showing Anakin's fall to become Vader. I'm talking about the movies, not the animated series. What all of these have in common is a hero, or regular boy, who has something bad happen to them and wind up consumed by rage. They then instantly become villains bent solely on revenge. There's no gradual descent. There's no second guessing. There's no time spent thinking about their actions and justifying their alignment shift. What I want to see is more stories of good people slowly and deliberately taking the path to evil. What do I mean by that? The best example of this is probably from Warcraft. No, not World of Warcraft, I mean the original Warcraft series. Specifically, Warcraft 3 and its expansion, The Frozen Throne. Gamers know exactly where this is going. Arthas Menethil was the Prince of Lordaeron. He was a paladin in the service of the light, and apprentice to Uther the Lightbringer. And then, one day, a plague came to ravage the northern lands. Victims of the plague rose as an undead scourge. Before anyone knew it, most of the kingdom was infected and became undead. In order to save those free from infection, Arthas purged the city of Stratholme. Every man, woman, and child was put to the sword and the city was torched. A city full of innocents. After killing the Lich Kel'Thuzad, Arthas learned that a demon had spread the infection and created the Scourge. And the only way to defeat the demon was an ancient and powerful rune blade, Frostborn. Arthas journeyed to the Northlands and found the ancient sword. Only the sword was cursed. Arthas, one of the most powerful paladins in the world, had become a Death Knight. Eventually, after many more atrocities, he would merge with Ner'zhul and become the Lich King. Some say that Arthas' descent into evil was forced upon him. Others say that pride was his downfall. Regardless of the reason, Arthas' journey from hero to villain is one of the greatest stories in gaming. But why do I bring it up? Is there an anime coming out that mirrors his descent into villainy? Why, yes. Yes, there is. I'm the Evil Lord of a Galactic Empire is finally getting an anime adaptation. And while yes, it may be a silly isekai series that most people will ignore, and many others will deride, the light novel series is a study in the psychology of evil, specifically the story of a good man becoming an evil lord. Let me set the scene. Just a heads up, I'm going to do a brief summary of the plot and then discuss some minor spoilers about the series. I won't go into any surprises or major plot twists, but this video is discussing what makes the series unique, the descent into evil. So consider this your spoiler warning. A man is dying. He is sick and malnourished. Everything in his life went wrong. He tried to do his best, but nothing went right. His wife left him and won't let him see his daughter. His job fired him for theft, and even random people on the street try to beat him up for money. Come to find out, he was destroyed due to his own kindness. A mysterious stranger calling himself the Guide appears before him in his rundown apartment and tells him the truth. His kid isn't his. It's actually the child of his wife's affair partner. And the debt he's been saddled with came from his boss fabricating evidence to hide his own theft. The man is overcome with rage. Burning with a desire for revenge, he realizes he will never get it. He's going to die. The guide does offer him the chance to live a new life in another universe, though. Holding out pamphlets for the man to look through, the guide tempts him with the idea of a new life. The man randomly picks one, not caring and not having the energy to actually choose. Just as he was about to breathe his last, the man came to the realization that there are two types of people in the world. Those who get stomped on, and those who do the stomping. Right then and there, he swore that in his next life, he would be the one to do the stomping. He would be evil. The only problem is, newly reborn Liam Sarah Banfield is bad at being bad. Although he strives to be an evil lord, he's been good for so long he struggles with making truly wicked decisions. At the same time, the trauma from his previous life has created trust issues, especially when it comes to women. And the women in his life aren't really helping matters. Side note, I'm not sure how far the anime series will go, but just about every flesh and blood woman in Liam's service is a yandere. Hopefully the anime will introduce us to the two big ones. Liam is the son of a count, and his noble family rules an entire planet. At the tender age of 5, Liam's new parents make him the count and take off to the capital to live a life of decadence and sin, the dream of all rural nobles. This saddles Liam with decades of back-owed taxes, a planet that has been drained dry, and a people beaten down by high taxes and negligent rulers. The first thing Liam does is order himself a custom-built android maid. After all, machines can't betray you, especially when they're programmed to be loyal. You don't have to worry about an android refusing to call you dad anymore, or abandoning you for another man, or pinning their crimes on you, forcing you to carry their debt to your death. Liam is still enraged from the events in his past life and is very sensitive to betrayal. He then takes his maid, Amagi, and puts her in charge of his territory while he enters a learning pod. Upon his return, he decides it is time to put the boot to the people beneath him. After all, in this life, he will be the one to do the stomping. Only his parents have already nearly snuffed the life out of their territory with their lavish lifestyle. So Liam determines it would be better in the long run if he raises the people up. He lowers taxes while also selling off most of his ridiculous mansion. You shouldn't need an indoor bullet train to go from the front door to your office, and build something much more reasonable. His new house is the size of a few city blocks rather than an entire city. While building up his planet, Liam also wants to improve his power base, both military and personal. An evil lord should have a powerful army, but should also be able to handle himself in a fight. Liam meets his master, a con artist who teaches him the way of the Flash. You all know the meme. You've seen it everywhere. This con artist tricks Liam into thinking that the way of the Flash is a real martial art. The only problem? Liam learns it. No, I'm not joking. Liam actually uses this fighting style throughout the series to cut down his enemies, which freaks his instructor out to no end. Now, just because Liam wants to be an evil lord doesn't mean he'll allow corruption to exist in his government. Amagi brings it to his attention that someone has been embezzling government funds. Liam brings the scumbag before him, and, while talking with this unrepentant piece of garbage, Liam discovered that he had pinned the crime on one of his subordinates and had them executed. Liam is enraged, reminded of his boss in his last life who did the same thing to him. So Liam gets to practice his newly learned sword skills and kills the corrupt official. It is his first kill, and Amagi has to gently pry the sword from his fingers. The first one is always the hardest. It becomes easier for Liam as time goes by. Eventually, he revels in it. Now, Liam never goes after innocents. Soldiers that are just following the orders of his enemies are necessary deaths, but he doesn't revel in it. Pirates, on the other hand, Liam gets a great deal of joy slaughtering. He refers to them as his piggy banks. The only purpose pirates serve in Liam's mind is to expand his wealth. Not only does he get paid in bounties, he gets to keep all of their loot as well. It's a win-win. And if a noble sides with pirates, no such thing. There's no way a noble of the Empire would ever side with pirates. They must really be pirates pretending to be nobles. Better wipe them out as well. At the same time, corruption in the ranks of his government or any organizations he's involved in should be ripped out, root and stem. Eventually, Liam's territory becomes the envy of all around. His people are prosperous, corruption has all but been rooted out, and he even pays off his tax debt to the Empire. Again, not really much of a villain. In fact, there are a lot of things he still struggles with due to his past trauma and inherent goodness. He talks about getting an entire harem of women, but never bothers. He brags about how he will bed 3 different women a night, but never does. In fact, the only time his people protest in the streets against him is because he hasn't produced an heir. Oh, they did protest when he banned a hairstyle, but that wasn't a real protest. Anyway, we're getting off track. Liam becomes more and more like Victor Von Doom, but with some comedy. It can be hard to see since much of the story is from his perspective, but Liam is an unstoppable killing machine who has mastered magic and is the beloved ruler of his home planet. He also has an untold number of enemies, including several in powerful positions. Yes, in the greater Marvel Universe, Doom is considered a villain, but not at home. His people love him, and he, in turn, takes care of them. The same thing is true with Liam. He is ruthless towards his enemies, but generous towards those loyal to him. So while he may not be the evil lord he always dreamed of being, a cold and heartless man who takes whatever he wants from anyone, like those who hurt and bullied him in his previous life, he has become something far more profound. Rather than a petty bully, Liam is becoming a powerful and respected ruler. Maybe one day, he'll put a real harem together instead of the pseudo one he has now. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cutestuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. There are several tiers to choose from. You can pick an anime or manga for me to do a video about, or you can join our monthly manga club. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Waffles, Jiraiya, Danny, Muffins, Marcus, Brett, Roxy, Alex, Borgie, Nazwin, Conga, Aaron, Chris, Robert, Austin, William Pye, Kazaris, Buxu, Patrick, Travis, Naffy, Noodle, Tiz, Art, and Kiki Jiki. You guys are awesome. I post anime or manga videos often, or you can click here to watch additional videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.